lighting people, you probably already know that Signify is the largest maker of lighting products in the world. And here in the Americas, the professional segment goes to market through leading brands like Color Kinetics, Advance, Bodine, and the entire Genlight Solutions platform of brands, which includes Daybright, Litany, Lightalier, and Guardco. Well, we're pleased today to be joined by the person who heads up that entire business for the Americas, Kevin Poyck. Kevin, hello, and thank you for joining us today for 5 Big Questions.
Hey, Al, thanks for having me. Really pleased to be here.
Kevin, so glad you joined us today. Let's talk about the topic of 2021, which might also be the topic of 2022, and that's supply chain. I think most people in our audience understands what the issues are, and that most of them, like containers and shipping, logistics, component availability, et cetera, are outside the control of most lighting manufacturers. But what are you doing as a lighting manufacturer to minimize those challenges and minimize the impact that your customers have on the projects on which they're working?
Yeah, and it's been a significant issue for everybody this year, and there's no doubt about it. I do feel like we sit in a very unique position in that we are the largest lighting manufacturer in the world. So hopefully that gives us an opportunity to have maybe a little higher priority when it comes to shipping containers and cargo ships and vessels, and also with our electronics component manufacturers, making sure that we have more capacity scheduled with them than anybody else does. So. But there's a lot of things that have been going on even before this started. We started an initiative around local for local manufacturing several years ago, and that's actually producing more of our products as close as we can to where we actually sell them. So many of our products now are manufactured in Mexico or even in the United States, where we're bringing kits over across the seas, which certainly helps us. Another area is to really leverage and support and invest in our warehouse and distribution centers. We expanded that this year with Atlanta. We've also leveraged several of our distribution centers in a different way to support our Memphis location, our biggest distribution center. And they've been able to provide great service really over these last 2 or 3 months with the changes that we've made. And I would say the last one is really about designing away from single source suppliers. So ensuring that our designs can be sourced from multiple different locations, something that we started a few years ago. We amped that up over the last year, and I would be happy to say I don't think we're single sourced on any product anymore.
Wow, with a product offering as broad and deep as your company's, that's amazing to have that level of multiple sources available for various products and all the other things you're doing. Awesome job there. Let's talk about some of the big news your company made earlier in the year with the acquisition of Telensa, a global leader in smart city platforms. How is Telensa being integrated into Signify in North America?
Yeah, and Telensa was a great acquisition for us. It aligns directly with our strategy around being the most connected company in lighting, really leveraging smart cities and ensuring that we get that adoption and making safer, sustainable, connected cities for folks to live in. And we've largely kept Telensa independent. The reason for that is we want Telensa to have the opportunity to take advantage of what makes the most sense and to have a view at all the opportunities that are out there. So perhaps Telensa goes to market on their own. Perhaps they combine with a Genlight brand or product. Perhaps they combine with a Cooper product. And whatever makes the most sense for a given project, that Telensa really has that autonomy to do. So that's actually worked really well. Integration or lack of integration is actually working out really well for us.
Yeah, and another product that you have that has been rolled out among various brands has been your UVC offering, which a little over a year ago, in the midst of the COVID tornado that we were all facing in mid-2020, your company made announcements that you were exponentially increasing your capacity to make more and more UVC product. Looking back on that in the rearview mirror, what type of demand did you see in that category? And looking forward 2 to 5 years from now, as COVID hopefully is mostly behind us, what type of demand do you see for the future in that UVC area?
Yeah, and I will tell you, UVC at the beginning, especially on the lamp side, we couldn't possibly make enough to fill all the demand. That has ebbed a little bit over time, and I think as things have opened up and COVID mitigated and eased a little bit, that some of the focus around that stopped. But we didn't stop at all. And we launched a lot of products, many products that were probably more lighting-based products, but now we're really focused on areas that are in the enclosed airspace. So where you're not necessarily exposed to the UVC lamp itself seems to be the area that's really the sweet spot. Think HVAC. Think portable systems that have a fully enclosed unit where there's no opportunity for exposure. I actually have these units in my home. I have one in my water filtration system, and they work beautifully. So we do think it's an education game and a long game. And while COVID may be coming near an end, of course, every time we think it is, it pops back up. But there is a long-term focus around being in healthy, safe work environments, and we know this is the way to do it. There is no better solution to ensure that you have purified air than what we're doing on the UVC side.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, healthy buildings is an initiative that continues to grow with interest and specifiers requiring some of those things like you just discussed. And when we look also at another category that you folks have is 3D printing. And you folks have really been at the forefront of providing and promoting that technology. And recently you announced a project in the country of Colombia where you provided 9,000 3D printed downlights for the El Dorado airport. It's a lot of downlights. 3D printed. So what we don't really see a huge adoption yet in North America. What do you think the impediments are, and what do you think it will take to remove those and start seeing some traction in North America with 3D printed fixtures?
Yeah, thanks, Al, for highlighting that project, because it is really a benchmark of sustainability. And I do think that is some of the limitation today. It's about education and really understanding what 3D brings to the table. So it's some of that local for local manufacturing capability. We have the ability to 3D print fixtures in Littlestown, Pennsylvania, right in our backyard. So think about the time to market for that is actually days, not even weeks. There's nothing on a boat. It's fully sustainable and circular, and you know, the really elements of that are really cater to what a designer would want to have, but also the ability to rapid prototype and put a new design in and try it out and see how that works. So there are really many areas that 3D printing can help and support us, but it's another tool in the toolbox. Just as you talked about with kind of some of our other solutions and capabilities, it's about education. It's a long game, but it's a way for us to bring capability to our partners and added value that others can't do.
That's exciting technology. Looking forward to seeing that continue to gain more and more traction. And let's now shift to the market. When you have a multi-billion-dollar company like Signify, it's common for large companies like yours to have multiple channels and paths to market. Where I am right now in Atlanta, there are 4 sales agents that sell various Signify products. You have, of course, SESCO selling the Genlight Solutions brands, as well as CK. And then we have LAI selling Bodine. Ardd Winter selling the Signify-owned Cooper Lighting Solutions brands. And then, of course, we have FRM doing more lamps and advanced drivers and ballast business. So, you know, many of those agents are often chasing some of the same projects or the same shelf space at distributors. So how do you manage through all of those, that litany and interwoven web of potential conflict and all the different channels that you have?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll tell you, I think that's a good thing. I love having all those feet on the street selling Signify product. And it is a very broad offering, as you know, in many different niches that make sense. So we, in any given territory, we always look for the strongest agent to represent that key category that we have. And we identify that category by brand, and it's very clear about who represents what. We do encourage our local agencies to work together on projects, but also to be very comfortable competing with each other where it makes sense. So I like the model. It allows us in a certain territory to always pick the strongest partners. And if those partners change over time, well, then we pull those partners together and hopefully, you know, 1 + 1 = 3. And so I think there's just tremendous opportunity in front of us to continue to do that and make sure that we have at least 2 or 3 strong partners in every single territory.
Very good. Well, it's an interesting conversation, and certainly, yeah, multiple paths to market mean multiple feet on the street, like you mentioned. You know, so congrats on the good year, the recent acquisition. Speaking of acquisitions, you know, there's been lots of activity in the industry, Kevin. You know, 6th question here, unscripted. Any acquisitions you want to announce right now to the industry?
I would love to, but yeah, I'm not allowed to. So just know that the activity is there, and that we're looking at any and all of them. So it's really an exciting time.
No, fair enough. I expected you to pass on that, but I thought I'd hit you with a quick one. Kevin, you're a sport for doing this. Really appreciate all the insights that you shared with our audience. And thank you for joining us today for 5 Big Questions.
Thanks so much, Al. I love what you do. And thanks for giving us the opportunity.
Hey there, we really enjoyed that discussion. We hope that you did as well. Be sure to click that big LED logo next to me, and what that'll do is subscribe you to our YouTube channel so you don't miss the next 5 Big Questions interview. And YouTube subscribers always receive an early preview to the next interview before we even post it on the Inside Lighting website. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.